On February 15, 2013, an asteroid could be seen hurtling towards Earth. Its trajectory put it on the collision course with Yablanovsky near the Black Sea. The chief on duty ordered the activation of an intercontinental ballistic missile. Their actions would determine the fate of all humanity. But at that very moment, the asteroid picked up speed. The Russian Ministry of Defense was unable to obtain a lock on the target. The chief knew that their failure meant the end of humanity, as we knew it. But maybe there was hope. Their global monitoring system picked up a fast-moving blue streak headed directly towards the asteroid, causing an explosion with the destructive force of 2 hydrogen bombs near the Earth's upper atmosphere. The soldiers on duty were ecstatic. Humanity was saved. The chief's attention was fully focused on what was possibly a new threat to humanity. But as the smoke cleared, they got their first glimpse of humanity's savior. Our story starts a few years later as an evil existence stirred down upon Earth. More specifically, the activities of a group of kids on the top of their university building. A group of bullies were not taking it easy on 2 of their classmates. The leader of the group's main goal was to be drawn like a god. The smaller of his 2 classmates was an artist, and he wanted those skills to be used to his advantage. The young artist was willing to submit to these demands. He shyly requested the bully give his friend some breathing room. The bully instantly rejected this, stating what would he do without his mount. Li Tianlang could care less about what was currently occurring. This only infuriated his captors. Every day they tortured him within an inch of his life. And he never gave them any satisfaction. His underlings were amazed by the superhero lock he had on their prey. I'm not some effing superhero. I'm a god! Little Qian, look here, this is a god. Draw me in his image. His underlings were totally captivated by the image. They had never seen it before. He explained to them that a few years ago this god saved all of us, by single-handedly destroying an asteroid hurling towards Russia. He personally would have no problem surviving such a catastrophe, but the rest of you guys would be history. Little Qian timidly asked permission to finish up the drawing tomorrow. As the sun was starting to set, the leader stood up, towering over the small artist. He made him a deal. Only one of the 2 of you get to leave. Discuss it with your brother on the ground. He begged his only friend to allow him to leave. I know you take the brute force of the attacks against us, but I have something important to do tonight. Li Tianlang insisted that he should make his own decisions. If you want to leave, just go. There's no reason for you to ask for my permission. He immediately rushed away, shame radiating from his presence, leaving Tianlang to endure the bullying alone. Little Li, it definitely doesn't look like your friend is a real one. When have I ever said he was my friend? Look here, don't you think my god is amazing? He can even fly without the use of any tools. He looks like a dog to my eyes. The leader wouldn't tolerate any backtalk towards his god. Tianlang's words caused the group to beat him mercilessly. Who exactly is the dog now? A woman with malicious intent appeared on the rooftop. You're such trash material. No matter where you go, you always end up being a dog. The group was shocked by the appearance of such a psychopath. She had no time for such trash. She instantly zapped them, giving her and Li Tianlang privacy. She offered to exterminate them if Li Tianlang wished. She put her boot to his head as he tried to get up off the ground. I don't remember giving you permission to rise. A meteor shower similar to the one a few years ago is about to begin. You know your mission. Don't disappoint me. She lifted the seal binding his power, freeing the dog to complete his mission. His powers burst forward in a storm of blue smoke. When the smoke cleared, Earth's savior stood in his place. He understood exactly the job of a Transcendent. With his helmet on, he wasted no time getting to work. He shot off the roof, zigzagged across the city and blasted straight to space, leaving shock waves as he went. The galaxy is essentially a giant prison. Each star a jail cell that imprisons monsters known as karma. They're vicious and bloodthirsty to the core. Throughout history, an organization led by the constellations has made it their mission to control this bloodlust and protect the citizens of the universe. 108 humans from the planet Earth were chosen as defenders of the universe. The constellations imbued them with power and named them the Transcendent. Over time, news spread throughout the universe of their great deeds in battle. Queqiu Tianlang was the strongest Transcendent among the 108. He was also known as Monocerotis Sirius. Monocerotis is a star located in the constellation of Monoceros and Latin for unicorn. And Sirius was a star located in the constellations Canis Major and is Latin for greater dog. The bombardment of asteroids streaked towards Earth. This time they had no intentions of being taken out by one Transcendent. Tianlang stood on the satellite calculating their trajectory and preparing to make his entrance. He leaped off the satellite, pistols blazing, easily laying waste to the asteroid field. As the smoke cleared, a single asteroid burst through. He pursued it, for he had to stop it at all costs. As soon as he closed in on his target, a humanoid karma made its appearance. It bursts free of the asteroid, instantly dragging the name of the constellations. He was not impressed by a single Transcendent being sent to destroy him. "I'm Karma! I'll teach all you humans a lesson you won't soon forget." Bullets blazed as Tianlang tried to down his target. But all he did was draw the Karma's outline. The Karma appeared behind Tianlang, trying his best to smash his head in. But Tianlang easily dodged each of its blows, before scoring a hit to its back. He landed on its forearm and immediately punched it in the face, sending the Karma flying into space. It didn't appreciate Tianlang trying to misfigure its gorgeous face. Karma activated infinite meteor jumping. He wouldn't sit around and allow someone to damage his good looks. He had a family to go home to. "I'll show you true speed." He bounced off a meteor and struck his target before repeating the action over and over. Tianlang was caught, and what was perceivably an unstoppable attack. The Karma joked about how quiet Tianlang was. "To think they would send a rare mute Transcendence to defeat me. It must really suck that I turned out to be your enemy. For today will be your last day in existence." He landed an uppercut directly to Tianlang's chin, sending his helmet flying into space. When his head snapped back, the Karma knew he was in trouble. "No, this isn't happening. Your Monocerotis Sirius. I've had it up to here with the nonsense escaping your lips." Tianlang activated his Karma skill. His enemy was shocked by a mere Transcendent using their skills. He had made a terrible calculation and knew it was time to retreat. But that's not going to be easy with the strongest of the 108 in his presence. Tianlang blasted the asteroid apart. The Karma leaped between the debris, knowing it had to move faster. Every time he increased his speed, his enemy was right there on his tail. The battle made a drastic turn when he reached his max speed. Tianlang laid out a 360-degree barrage of bullets, ripping chunks out of his enemy. He winded up and back-kicked the Karma as hard as he could. Karma was sent flying, bouncing off an asteroid blazing towards Earth. Tianlang landed on his chest. "Aren't you just the best little bouncer I've ever seen? Who would have thought the biggest traitor of the 108 Transcendent would be confined to this star prison? What a pity for me. It doesn't matter if you kill me, that meteorite is going to smash into Earth soon. Time is up, Transcendent. Checkmate match." Tianlang may have failed his mission, but he'd clean up this trash before he headed back to Earth. He turned his pistols into a shotgun and jammed it into the face of the Karma. He finished the deed as nonsense continued to spew from the Karma's lips. The asteroid burst open upon entering the Earth's atmosphere, sending meteors showering across the planet. Tianlang made his way back to the university. He made a soft superhero landing on the roof. As his failure streaked across the sky, his handler was there, waiting. The two stared each other down. She strolled towards him and slapped him across the face. "How dare you fail me, little puppy? You've been a dog for over 1,500 years, and you still fail your master." Tianlang insisted that if he had access to more of his powers, maybe he could have accomplished his goal. His handler used her power to torture him. She wouldn't stand him being disobedient. He fell to the ground, grasping at his neck. She insisted, A traitor like him had no right to make decisions that involved the fate of the world. But he stood his ground defiantly, staring her down. My enemy was a slander. For a second, she radiated fear at the mere mention of the word slander. My enemy was no mere karma. He was a slander with intelligence. The meteors that failed to Earth were each karma fragments. If a human came in contact with them, they would be offered the power of the karma. This would lead to a vicious cycle of more karmas being attracted to Earth. So it turns out, the little puppy isn't completely useless. I have to report this. Don't think you won't be punished for your failures. But before I leave, I need you to remind me of what you do when I'm not around. Speak up, I can't hear you. When you're not around, I'm to do nothing. Even if it's related to karmas. She was ecstatic that her little dog knew his job well. She turned to leave, grasping her face, pissed at herself for showing fear in front of such trash. Tianlang washed away the scent of battle. But no matter how hard he scrubbed, there were certain things he could never wash away. Traitor. You feed on your own kind. He couldn't stand her always having her nose turned up to him. A long time ago, Li Tianlang craved power. His ultimate goal was to be stronger than all the constellations. His friends believed his goals to be silly, seeing as how he was already the strongest among them. But she promised him Fomalhaut would definitely be the strongest in the future. Fomalhaut is the brightest star in the southern constellation of Pisces. Li Tianlang had no problem welcoming such a challenge. Regulus, what's your dreams of the future? Regulus is the brightest object in the constellation Leo and one of the brightest stars in the night sky. His personal ambitions weren't so grand. All he wished was to enjoy the scenery wherever he roamed with a glass of wine in his hand. His daydreams shifted to Regulus being snatched from his hands. He was a monster who sucked the blood of his comrades. The only one among the 108 Transcendent capable of using the karma skill. His thirst for blood was insatiable. Blood ran down the drain as his shower finished. His heart ached for the companionship of his old friends. The next day at the university, Tianlang could be found basking in the shade near the b-ball court. It wasn't long before he was bothered by his apparent friend Qian. He wanted to apologize for not sticking by his side yesterday. And since the bullies followed his every movement, a basketball crashed into his face. If it isn't little Qian. I hope you haven't forgotten. This afternoon, the rooftops. My drawing. Li Tianlang, I expect you to be there as well. Tianlang remained silent. I'm tired of you playing the mute. I'm going to beat some words out of you right now. Everyone gathered around. No one was interested in missing the fight. But a teacher pushed through the crowd immediately upon its formation. He shouted the bully's name. Luli Tai. He wanted to know who dared call his name. His tone changed as the teacher approached. He was reminded he was on his last straw before expulsion. He talked his way out of trouble. After all, he was the star center of the basketball team. Qian was relieved to be saved. Qian Yixing, don't take this personally. But please stay away from me. Being around me won't end well for you. And here's a piece of parting advice. You're the only one who could save you. If you don't like being pushed around, then grow a backbone and stand up for yourself. Rumors about shooting stars had been a major topic all day among the student body. Qian spent his time after class feeding the cats around campus. A big black tomcat approached with something in his mouth. He had never seen a cat with such a striking appearance before. His bullies chose this exact moment to approach him. He quickly snatched up the gift from the cat and hid it from their view. Boss Man was requesting his presence on the roof immediately. They wasted no time asserting their dominance over him. On top of that, he had failed the task given to him. Are you hard of hearing or just stupid? I specifically told you to draw me as a god. Not to make a trashy copy of the image I showed you. He ordered his biggest brutes to teach little Qian a lesson while he smoked a cigarette. He had a whole group of ass-kissers surrounding him. One promised that drawing was easy and that he could accomplish the task. And the other was eager to light his cigarette. All this was taking place while Qian was getting the beating of his lifetime. He was tired of all this. Why did they have to continue to harass him? If they didn't exist, he would be free to live his life. A malicious voice whispered. Do you want to kill them? The voice came from the fragment in his pocket, and wasn't interested in revealing its identity. If you want to be free of them, show me your killing intent. The bullies were worried for him as it seemed he was having a seizure. But as the power consumed him, he stood up and knocked them both out cold with a single punch. Little Qian was shocked by his strength. He slammed his fist against the wall, expecting the hole to form there. The two bullies were having a hard time perceiving the situation. The voice inside him explained that power didn't come so easy. He had to use the methods familiar to him to obtain them. All Qian could do was draw. So, he sketched out a hole in the wall and slammed the piece of paper against it. The two bullies watched on in disbelief. Qian was ecstatic. He would finally be able to teach his tormentors a lesson. The voice in his head named his new skill parasitic drawing. The power to make your drawings a reality wasn't exactly karma level, but it should still be useful. It instantly shouted the word destroy in his head in every language imaginable. Qian was consumed by power. He stepped forward to do some damage. He offered them the deal they always offered him. Only one of the two would be allowed to leave. Choose. One immediately made a break for it. But a giant tentacle flung him into the air as he dashed to the exit. It was time him and the leader settled their debts. Tianlang felt the presence of a karma, but he had been ordered to mind his own business. Halfway down the stairs, he remembered that Qian would be up there at this very moment. There was no way he could simply abandon him to that fate. This was the first time Qian had ever got to just sit back and watch the sunset from this rooftop. It was truly a sight to behold. He called down to Lu Litai. Lu, isn't that a spectacular sunset? Lu stood on the edge of the building, grasping the fence for dear life. He apologized for everything he had done. I'm so sorry. Please let me go home. Sorry, there's nothing to be sorry about. Whoever has the most power is always in the right. Please, Qian, don't say such things. The things I did to you were 100% wrong. I'm tired of this. Why don't you bungee jump without the bungee? Qian casually flung him off the roof. Tianlang decided to intervene. As the body fell past his window, he burst through the window, grabbing the bully's leg, and dashed straight out. Lu's world had been turned upside down. But at that moment, all he knew was he was still alive. His God had saved his life. He was in the presence of the person he worshipped. All this time, he knew his God existed. But he was too smart for his own good. He questioned why his God was wearing their school uniform. And as soon as he looked down at the shoes, he received a karate chop to the neck. Tianlang really didn't want this dude knowing his identity. His power being sealed only afforded him so many luxuries. And his helmet was all he could produce. A sound on the roof caught his attention, and he looked up just in time to see two other bullies falling towards him. The only difference where they came in swinging. He wasted no time attacking the two of them, knocking them in opposite directions. But without even seeing him, he knew little Qian was the karma presence he felt. Qian flew down to greet him, shocked that his bully's God actually existed. He insisted if everyone minded their own business, things will turn out just fine. His only intentions were to finish off his tormentor laying on the ground behind Tianlang. Tianlang warned him that the power of a karma was impairing his judgment. Little Qian took that as his answer and attacked without a second thought. Tianlang countered the constructs, flinging them away with ease. He relentlessly broke the other two down, one kick at a time. Qian combined 3 of his soldiers to protect himself from an incoming blow. But the results were the same. His desperation was at the max as he attempted to manipulate his own self with his drawings. Tianlang released his helmet and shouted for Qian to snap out of it. It only upset Qian more. If Tianlang had such power, why couldn't he just defend them from the start? He could have easily defeated them. But he allowed the 2 of them to be tortured. And he had the nerve to be the savior to the bad guys. Lu Litai woke up and decided to prioritize his life, dashing to safety. The people who he had been bullying for days on end were both overpowered monsters. Tianlang explained it was because he had no right to be a hero. And he was not taking the side of their tormentors. He was only trying to save Qian from becoming a monster like him. And this whole situation was starting to get on his nerves. If you want to kill him, go ahead. I won't stop you. Lu Litai screamed in terror. Kill him? Don't change your mind once I get started. Qian had no remorse, he would finish where he started. He drew a ferocious beast to crush his enemy. But could he really do it? A puddle of pee formed on the ground beneath Lu Litai. Qian hesitated. Was this something he really wanted? Did he really want to become a murderer? Was this really who he was? All these questions ran through his head. Tianlang explained he had the power to kill them the whole time. But what exactly would that have solved? The kids that bully them were most definitely in the wrong, but did they deserve to die for it? You don't have to borrow power from monsters. Courage is all the power you'll ever need to solve your problems. The karma couldn't stand being in such a useless vessel. It instantly ripped itself from Qian's body. Qian laid on the ground, barely able to function. The monster had fused with Lu Litai. The consciousness of the fragment was trying to survive at all costs. It would destroy Li Tianlang and retrieve its fragment from Qian's body. Qian was experiencing a backlash from losing so much power so quickly. Tianlang stood in the karma's path, determined to save Qian. It was too late as he realized he had made a mistake. The karma was stronger than he expected, flinging him into the university with ease. But he came back faster than he was sent away with a kick that sent the monster flying. Qian laid on the ground, not able to move. He wondered why Tianlang was wasting his time saving his life. I'll never live a life where I accumulate any regrets. He ran off towards the karma, dashing up its arm as he went. He was determined to succeed, even if he had to use his own power to do so. He conjured gloves as he made it to its back and proceeded to rip the head free of the monster's body. The karma's built-in defense forced Tianlang to release its head. But he wouldn't give up that easy. He materialized metal knuckles and began to pound its back. He didn't stop until it succumbed to his assault. It laid on the ground, staring off longly at what was his. In a last-ditch effort, the karma shot a back spike towards Qian. But Li Tianlang's speed allowed him to easily deflect the blow. The karma was right behind him, prepared to finish the job. Even if it had to go through Tianlang's body to do so. He was only barely able to hold off the karma. The power he was pulling through the gaps of his seal was hardly sufficient for the task at hand. It left him only one choice. He asked Qian to move away as quickly as he could. But the monster was also prepared to whisper in his ear. Kill them all! The karma had been a part of him. It knew his deepest secrets. And his heart's desires. It used them all to its advantage. You want to kill them. You need to destroy them all. Everyone was shouting his name. He needed them all to shut up. He climbed to his feet, notebook in hand, as he slammed a drawing on Tianlang's back. A blinding blue light radiated from his chest. A shock wave of energy radiated outwards, knocking Qian from his feet. You could barely hear him say the words. Go. He had made his choice, and this battle would soon be over. Tianlang took his pistol from his holster and blasted point blank into the karma's head. The beam was so powerful it shot across the sky, leaving a giant hole in what was once a manifestation made real. Qian fell to the ground laughing as his worst nightmare faded away. Tianlang rushed to his side. Don't blame yourself, I don't have much time left. I've never seen such an expression on your face. But if I had only chosen to fight under my own power, I wouldn't be in this situation. Can I ask you a question? Not because you saved my life, or any gratitude towards me for helping you just now. Are we friends? Yes. Qian's body faded from this earth. Goodbye, Li Tianlang. Luckily, the school had been deserted when the fight took place. And thanks to the self-restoring properties of this world, all the damage had been repaired. Otherwise his handler would have had to take care of it herself. And I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have ended well for him. Why can't a stupid dog just follow my orders? I was going for, what, a couple of seconds. And you had to cause trouble for me. His encounter with the karma was not unique, since the meteor shower sprayed fragments across the earth. Over 39 Class B encounters had occurred. And 12 encounters were classified Class A. And that's not accounting for the countless weaker situations across the planet. And worst of all, there were 3 Grade S cases that the handler herself wouldn't have been able to manage. Because of this, the powers that be have decided to send Earth more defensive forces. Tianlang insisted that none of it had anything to do with him. All he did was follow orders and keep his mouth shut. She smiled, knowing he was in for the shock of his life. An umbrella skewered the ground from above. Tianlang knew immediately that this was the 9 continents umbrella. And that could only mean one thing. A handsome individual landed on the tip of the umbrella, staring down on our protagonist. Regulus, his former friend, wasted no time kicking him into the fence. Li Tianlang! His next attack sent him clear through the fence into the open sky. He activated his ability and continued to pummel Tianlang. Tianlang felt nothing but pure relief. His heart beat with joy at the knowledge that his friend had survived. He had not a care in the world as Regulus sent him shooting towards the river below. Regulus dragged him to the shore, strangling him. Why are you not fighting back? Aren't you the greatest transcendent of them all? He explained that he had a 10-layer seal placed upon him. But more importantly, he had no right to fight back. Regulus released him, realizing what a sorry state his former friend was now in. This existence disgraced the memory of his former friend Monocerotis Sirius. He had no choice but to put this dog down. At the last second, a celestial barrier formed protecting Tianlang from having his head smashed in. The source of the protection? A young boy named Shiluo, also known as Scorpius Antares. Often referred to as the heart of the scorpion, Antares is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpio. Tianlang was overjoyed. Shiluo had survived as well. Regulus chastised Shiluo. Are you really gonna treat him as your big brother after what he did? Tianlang explained to Regulus that he would willingly give him his life. As soon as he was done investigating the truth behind the battle of 800 worries, he would willingly lay down his life to appease him. His words didn't make the situation any better. His handler showed up. She had hoped to be entertained by the infighting of dogs. But the two had not lived up to her expectation, leaving her feeling only boredom. She could care less how the group treated each other. All that mattered was their completion of the missions assigned to them. And they all knew the consequences for failing her. She was the constellation currently in charge of Earth. Her name was Dung Hong, aka Phantom Snake. Regulus was okay with this, but insisted she remove her hands from his charge's shoulder. A certain black cat was spying on the group. 2 fearsome warriors had arrived on Earth. Things were starting to get interesting. The plans would be set into motion immediately. The black cat could easily take out a newborn karma as weak as this one. All it did was crawl around begging for power, and spouting nonsense about how it would turn anyone that hurt him into his toy. The black cat was done playing and returned to its master's lap. The master wasn't impressed by such a weak newborn. But the power it wielded was something she'd never seen before. So she was willing to invest a little bit of her power into it. A fragment was wrapped in her tongue as it snaked towards the weakling's mouth. The 2 kissed and the deed was done. She ordered him to go and do her bidding. Regulus raced around the city, with his charge on his heel. The 2 communicated with their newly acquired smartphones. Scorpius guided Regulus to their target's location. Their handler had acquired the equipment, which looked like gadgets you could source locally on this planet. Regulus knew them to be called smartphones, but unfortunately that was the extent of his knowledge. The 2 were closing in on their target. But the weak karma from earlier accomplished his goal to suck the life out of a human being in the back alley of the city. Right as he was finishing his meal, Regulus dropped down upon him, announcing his presence by shouting the name of the moves he was using. Sword of the 9 Continents, Sword Blossom. With that first attack, the karma lost his arm. He wanted to know the identity of the person who was interrupting his feeding. But Regulus had no interest in such trash. Anyone who preyed upon women in the night deserved to die. He was fed up with this naked karma. His aura whipped from his body, causing the weak karma to flee. But Shiloh stepped out, trapping the trash karma in the alley. It's never a good idea to corner your prey. In such situations, you limit its choices, forcing it to make a rash decision. In this situation, the karma began to self-explode. Green flames shot out, consuming its body as it drifted up and away. Regulus was disappointed in his reaction to the encounter. Hopefully spending 1,500 years in Leo hadn't softened him. He blasted into the sky, to pursue the trash karma, leaving Shiloh to clean up the arm left behind. The arm informed Shiloh that the karma was grade B. He followed the green light to an abandoned construction site, knowing full well this was a trap. Regulus could hear the whispers of tortured souls begging for his help. The arm reanimated itself, prepared to finish the job that its master couldn't. Shiloh turned around as the shadow spread across the ground. He casted a barrier just as Tianlang appeared to vaporize the arm. "Where's the little umbrella, Regulus?" "Woo! I wasn't that far behind. He could have waited." "Woo! Woo!" It turns out the trash karma was hiding its true intent. Its power level had jumped from B class to S class. It turned out the hunters were actually being hunted. Regulus was in grave danger. "Shiloh, retreat and report your findings to the Celestial Court. I'll take care of Regulus, don't worry." Tianlang rushed to save his old friend's life. The trap was disgusting. It was full of creatures made of green goo. Their intentions were to consume Regulus. He was starting to get frustrated. To be lured to an isolated location just to see a disgusting sight did not sit well with him. The karma explained that this was his collection and that Regulus should join them. "This green stuff is being too pushy." He cast Divine Conflict Meditation Circle, and followed that up with Sword Arts Infinity. This cleared the room of all traces of the green slime. The karma was excited by such power, and all the beings that had been kidnapped knew this was their opportunity to be freed. They begged Regulus for help. The voices consumed his very existence. All he could hear was save me, over and over. The karma insisted that all the people who he had consumed were also human, and he should join them all. "Let your guilt consume you and join us, combine with us. The only thing stronger than my guilt for not rescuing these poor souls. It's the urge I feel right now to send you to hell." Divine Karma Detection. "So, you've been hiding beneath this construction site? How sneaky." Regulus's umbrella struck the ground, unleashing a spell diagram that obliterated the construction site with a single powerful strike. "You're trash, the scum of the earth. A parasite feeding on the living. You lure people here and then consume them." The karma insisted that it was only in its nature, and that it was doing nothing wrong. Before those words had fully left his lips, he sprang forth to consume Regulus. He was prepared for such an attack. His eyes had detected the giant serpent below the surface. Regulus was not interested in the slightest in seeing the power that such scum had gained from consuming 100 people. "Don't mistake the sins you carry as power. I'll show you a true power. I attained this from the hopes of 100 people." Regulus released his seal. With his seal broken, he rose up into the sky, to meet this monstrosity on its level. He wasn't fond of looking up to anyone. The karma attacked, believing Regulus to be bluffing. In a single motion, Regulus relieved the monstrosity of all its appendages. This infuriated the karma. This was the second time this one human had dared to cut off its body parts. "Wait, trash, I'm not done yet." His attack left chunks raining to the ground. He snapped his finger, freezing everything in place. A second snap caused everything to scatter on the wind. Its head was all that remained. Regulus wanted the karma to feel the fear that all those people felt when they were consumed by this trash. But the karma was too busy thinking about all the lost rewards that it would have received from his queen if he had succeeded. It truly was loyal to the end, sacrificing itself for the sake of his queen. Regulus was entrapped inside of a lunar crystal palace. He was truly trapped. None of his attacks did any damage from the inside. This skill reminded him of someone. He just couldn't put his fingers on it. He dropped to his knees. Breaking through his seal had caused him dearly. Tianlang arrived as fast as he could. But the deed had been done. He could barely sense Regulus's presence. But he sensed something evil lurking in the shadows. The story you just watched is called Star Prison. Let's show our appreciation and support for the original creator of this manhwa and their incredible efforts. With over 40 chapters released so far, this video covered chapters 1 to 13. Be sure to continue reading to delve deeper into the story. If you haven't already, please subscribe to discover more amazing manhwas, manhwas, and mangas. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.